Joining me now is commentator Liz Storer and former Labor Senator Graham Richardson. Happy Australia Day for tomorrow, team.
Happy Australia Day!
Thank you very much, and the same to you.
Good on you. Now, Liz, before I come to you, I want to show you some footage just into the newsroom. Sky News political reporter Jonathan Lee attempting to ask Grace Tame some very fair questions, I thought.
Congratulations on being Australian of the Year for a year. Can I ask what was behind the events with the Prime Minister today?
Why the cold shoulder today, Grace? Was there an explanation for that?
How do you feel now handing over the baton, Grace?
Now, she did place something on Instagram later this afternoon saying she was surprised that they let her in. Liz, my issue here is she made a big political statement. Why is she not prepared to own that political statement when confronted by those reporters?
Indeed, Chris, this seems very confusing. If you meant to do it as a statement, please unpack that for us. Unfortunately, this just actually damages someone's cause. She is an ambassador for a specific cause, and here she is greeting the Prime Minister of a middle world power with such churlishness, sulking, looking sideways at him, and it seemed very intentional in front of the photographers. I mean, we have more civil exchanges between wartime world leaders because they know how to put on a face and actually act in civil society. And unfortunately, all this does is make Grace look like a child in an adult's world, because indeed that's exactly what she was behaving like.
Yeah, her campaign, you know, in the main cannot be faulted. And she did achieve so much, but she didn't need to, you know, thumb a nose at the PM. And I thought, Richo, the way she treated a question about, you went down on your knee, did you? And neither of them answered and looked at her like as if, how dare you speak to us? I thought it was just downright rude.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. I don't understand why she got up herself, but somewhere along the line she did, and she showed that really badly today.
Yeah. Now, doctors in this is Western Australia, Richo. This is your favourite man. Doctors in Western Australia have called on Premier Mark McGowan to restore the February 5 reopening of the state, claiming scrapping the plans was a betrayal that risked damaging trust. The furious medical practitioners added there was no better time to reopen to the world, with an online petition attracting more than 2,200 signatures. Richo, come on, you'd have to agree it was a real bad look and a betrayal of the people of WA.
I think you're getting a bit carried away. I think McGowan could have behaved a little better on this occasion, but I don't think that it's the end of the world. I think, you know, our doctors get very precious about themselves and always have been. And I think it's very hard to keep them always happy. I tried as health minister and found it a very difficult job.
But Richo, when you get the AMA offside, that's a big call when you get the AMA offside.
Well, you know, you, as I always said, you can't run the health system without doctors. So getting the AMA offside was never a good idea. I made sure that even though among their heads were great enemies of the Labor Party, I still made friends with them because I knew I needed to work with them.
Liz, it's your hometown. Is the Emperor likely to budge?
I can't see him budging though, Chris, but he really should. I was absolutely astounded today when the Australian Institute for Health and Welfare released their report on elective surgeries, and it showed that over 57,000 Aussies have waited over a year for their surgeries. They've seen an over 5% increase over the last year as elective surgeries have been shut down. Now with the Omicron wave, several states are still operating on those. And these doctors, they know better than anyone else the cost to people that this is. Richo says it's not the end of the world. If you're living in chronic pain on a daily basis, this is the end of your world when you've got Emperor McGowan still refusing to open up. No proper health advice was given for this. We've got the WA Health Minister standing up telling Western Australians that the East is virtually in lockdown, and that show that there's been no shows at schools. School isn't even open yet,
right.
And we have no lockdowns here. They're literally just lying to their people now, holding the state at ransom, and for the last 2 years being locked behind the iron ore curtain, as we call it. Western Australians have had enough.
We'll see, because the longer he leaves it, the closer you get to the winter season, and that means the flu season. He'll have two fronts to cater to try and dilute. Now, the Billa Wheeler Tamil family, they've won their latest court challenge against the Immigration Minister's decision to bar them from reapplying for bridging visas, with the Federal Circuit Court Judge Heather Riley determining that the move was procedurally unfair. Now, the decision in real terms does not prevent Alex Hawke, the Minister, from remaking a decision against the family. Richo, this has gone on a hell of a long time. I know we keep hearing from government ministers that you can't create a precedent, but there's got to be an area for a little bit of shove and push on this, doesn't there?
Look, when ministers say that, they are talking crap. There is absolutely no reason why they can't just fix this and fix it in a flash. There's no reason, and it should be done really quickly. This family, you can make an exception every now and again, and God knows, if the whole town wants you to stay, why wouldn't we just say yes? What's the problem? Is it some massive precedent that we'll see the boat people again invading Darwin? I don't think so.
Liz, I know where you stand on this because we've discussed it before. There's been so many chapters in this story, but if it goes on any longer, are we really going to send them back home?
Chris, I think we really need to revisit these arbitrary powers our immigration minister has. We saw this in the Novak case so recently. We're seeing this now. Hawke's been commanded to cover the family's court costs. How much is this guy costing us in court costs? You know, dragging these things through the court, putting people through unnecessary suffering, especially in this case where their youngest needs medical attention. They're just trying to keep the family together. And the judge literally turns around in this circumstance and says, there seems to be some reason for Hawke's decision that he hasn't disclosed. It's unknown to the family and it's unknown to the court. So he's ruled in the family's favour. I mean, what is this arbitrary nonsense? If you have a reason, please tell us, because right now you look ridiculous, you look unreasonable, and you're costing the Australian taxpayer big time.
Yeah, I've changed on this after many, many years of covering the topic. Now, a Ukrainian ambassador has suggested Australia's decision to withdraw its foreign diplomats from Kiev sends the wrong message, arguing it might be a premature decision. Vladimir Shalkivsky called for calm while Australian and Ukrainian officials worked to defuse the situation. Richo, I want to ask you something a little bit more general. Do we need to be part of this war?
No, we do not. We certainly do not. It's something that we should avoid like the plague. And I wonder sometimes what the government's thinking, but I know what ordinary Australians will think. They will not want any part of it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's what a poll would show if we had one. Liz, you've got to get your own people out. You've got to look after their safety. That's primarily what your job is as a consulate, as an embassy, and as a government.
Absolutely, and the Brits have done this, the US has done this, so why shouldn't Australia do this also? I mean, we've got the Kremlin promising that he doesn't mean to attack, but the facts are there's 100,000 Russian troops camped right on the border there. NATO member states are madly sending resources to the Ukraine to prepare for what looks like an imminent attack. I mean, Why shouldn't we? We'd be negligent not to do everything that we can to get our people out. And the last thing we want, Chris, is another Afghanistan where it wasn't until it hit the fan and our government was still faffing around, hands in the air. What a debacle that was, just trying to get our people out of what was then a confirmed war zone.
Yeah, let's walk away, I say. Liz Storer, Graham Richardson, thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, Chris.
Good on you, Chris.